Let's build with these blocks today. Today, I was inspired by this concept art I found on Pinterest, which is a bit of a suburban house, a style that I don't build in at all. So it'd be an interesting challenge here. I went with some stripped oak logs as a fence and then also used it as a foundation for the actual house. It's quite an interesting shape, a bunch of weirdly shaped rectangles put against each other. And usually you'd have logs of wood or something as the framework, but this house, interestingly enough, had stone. So I used deep slate and light blue terracotta here with some orange copper mixed in on the roof. We have a nice little front porch here, giving it a very suburban feel. And I've also been preferring these trapdoor windows over the traditional glass panes a lot recently, just to make that traditional cross-section pane window, if that makes sense. And you'll notice me jump from section to section on this house a lot because it was honestly such a huge challenge fitting these pieces together of the roof. It is like a traditional A-frame roof, but just with so many different rectangles put together. But on this right side of the house, we have this huge plain wall with a flower bed in the concept art full of these beautiful little sunflowers, giving a nice contrast on the blue wall, and a nice bay window of sorts, just a very wide window. There was also a little white and orange tarp that I wanted to recreate with wool here, but the shape just wasn't quite right with the carpet and full block. We need slabs, wool slabs, come on. So I used pale wood and acacia, looking pretty good there. And just filling in the rest of the house. So now I'm doing the main chunk of this roof, which is just stairs all the way up, creating an A-frame. And we have this huge chunk of wall to fill in, so I went and broke things up with a nice stripped spruce log and then filled the rest in with the stripped oak that we had going on. And things are looking very flat, so I have to bring the roof out by one block and have some supports because that only makes sense. Using some spruce wood once again, and things look pretty good with the fence gates open. So I'm doing the exact same, bringing it one block out on all the other parts of the roof as well, and also trying to fill in the exposed parts with strip oak log. Now we have this awkward little upper portion of the concept art you can see here. It's like kind of a weird size in that it has its own part of the roof at the very top, but it's relatively small compared to the rest of the house. So this window basically takes up the whole front face of the wall, and it's 4 wide, which makes the roof a little bit tricky to do. Looks like a little Monopoly house, I'm not gonna lie, guys. This house is really an example of trusting the process, because I wanted to give up on it so much throughout this building process, because these are blocks that should not really work too well together. It just looks funky when you're not texturing it. Like, I'm building a straight up Monopoly house, stacking things together, but trust. At the end, it looks super cool, and I'm so glad I decided not to give up on it. Because now that we actually have every piece of roof and wall filled in, we can texture it up, especially these deep slate pillars here. It makes a huge difference having a bit of a gradient on it. Texturing up the orange roof here with acacia and a bit of the rusted copper here. See, it already looks much better. Trust. And while I'm finishing texturing everything up here, I wanted to ask you guys in the comments, what's like one build style you've always wanted to try and you think you're not so good at or you want to improve at? Because definitely suburban for me. Adding some window shutters and flower beds here, giving it way more depth and not such a flat facing wall, and also making this fence a little taller. It's kind of weird. I've never had to build a suburban type of fence before, and the classic clothesline, you've seen this in the previous videos. And now texturing up this wooden part of the fence as well with some stripped birch, just giving it some more character there. Some little details on the front porch. See, I'm jumping around. I'm back to extending roofs, but there we go. The Monopoly house is no longer a Monopoly house. It is a beautiful suburban house. And now here's the problem I had with my other build as well. How do you really texture up light blue terracotta? And this time around, I decided to completely not to, and just to texture up everything else around it Looking back, I probably could have added some pale moss. It would have been pretty cool. But this wall was still looking very flat as well from before, so I added a bit of a thicker spruce trim and used the prismarine I was experimenting with on the front to add a bit of a trim to the bottom of these windows, giving it a bit of a highlight. What I found about the suburban style is the majority of the build is windows and shutters. That's how you get rid of the plain walls, because most of the house is straight up roof, windows and shutters. There's not that much exposed walls, so that's why, oh man, I had to bring back the glazed terracotta. I was like, it's looking boring. Let me add that in. It's got the orange and the blue. And then I switched to dark prismarine as well. It's a bit closer in tone, I think, to the light blue terracotta. Now I'm working on a nice sliding glass door for the backyard. Coming down a step and adding those windows galore like I was talking about earlier before I interrupted myself. I got so caught off guard post-recording, I forgot I added that crazy streak of glazed terracotta there. But yeah, extending this dark prismarine all the way around, I think it adds a nice bit of highlight and dimension into the backyard, which we extended the fence and added a nice little overhanging gate here, adding some more slabs and also some bamboo just to make it shine. So clearly this person has not really mowed their lawn. Growing up, my lawn kind of looked a bit like this, so we're kind of emulating that. And now for a big custom oak tree where the kids can play, I feel like it's very reminiscent of a traditional suburban neighborhood. Just a big oak tree in the backyard here, using a mix of spruce and oak logs because they have similar tones. And going for this, the BOO 60/40. You got 60% leaves and 40% air. That was from one of his YouTube shorts. Don't quote me though. It's looking pretty cool. I could always use work on my custom trees, so I enjoy making them. And now I'm adding a little swing set for the kids. Boom. It doesn't really swing though. I wish it did. A little backyard picnic table for the barbecues and a little bit of moss in the corners just to add some texture. And I'm always going in, filling in these extra spaces in the oak tree. But that brings us to day 4 of our Build a Day challenge. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like and stay tuned for the next one. Comment below what I should build next.